All right, guys, we got some NBA Cup action back at the Garden tonight. A Knicks win over the Hawks sends them to Vegas to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's get the scoop on tonight's semifinal with our New York Post Knicks beat writer and reporter, Stefan Bondy. Steph, did I say that with enough enthusiasm? Because you called me out last time about not enough energy about these Cup games.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, how you feeling about it now? You a little bit more enthused about the NBA Cup, or you're still like, nah, I'm not feeling it?
Nah, after I saw Giannis put up a 37-piece last night and the way he played, if you've seen a star play like that, that means guys are locked in, guys are tapped in, and shout out to Commissioner Silver for putting something like this together, because you're seeing guys actually compete, and that's what fans want. So you got me, man. You got me. You got me.
And I talked to David Lee, the former Knick, yesterday, and he brought up a good point where before, during the regular season, you really don't pay attention to the NBA until Christmas. It's like you're going through the beginning and nobody really cares until those Christmas Day games, and then it kind of takes off from there. But now this gives you a little bit of something to be more enthusiastic about, more, excited about before those Christmas Day games. So I think that was a point from Adam Silver. My problem is you shouldn't be providing all these incentives for players to actually show up and play and be excited about the regular season. We'll see how much changes in the future, but there's gives and takes, in my opinion, about the NBA Cup.
Well, the fans are excited, and I mean, again, they've provided a great product for fans to watch, and now we're hit the knockout rounds. Win, and the Knicks head to Vegas. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be a Knicks win tonight.
It should be. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks are a dangerous opponent. They've played kind of up to the level of their opponent. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers twice. We know what the Cleveland Cavaliers have been this season. They beat the Knicks in Atlanta as well. So they're 1-0 against the Knicks. We obviously know about the history with Trae Young in the playoffs in 2021. The Knicks are the betting favorites, I think, for good reason. They've been playing well. They had that hiccup against the Detroit Pistons. I thought they didn't play quite as good as they should have in Toronto. But they are the more talented team. They have one of the best starting fives in the NBA. They're all healthy. I know Josh Hart is questionable for this game, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't play. And, I mean, there's a reason they're the favorites, and I'd expect that they'd come out on top and then head to Vegas to play the Milwaukee Bucks in the semifinals.
You mentioned that playoff performance by Ice Trae Young. My man is back in the city. He's back at the Garden. You know he feeds off that energy at the Garden. So is tonight Brunson versus Young?
Yeah, I mean, that's a marquee matchup. I don't think they're going to be guarding each other by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to try to hide Trae Young on defense and try to hide Jalen Brunson on defense just because they're, probably the worst defenders in the lineup. But, there's another element to this. And, Brandon, maybe you can help me out with this as a competitor who's played at a high level. The Knicks had a chance during the Group Cup play to clinch the top seed and maybe play Boston instead of Atlanta. That was in their Orlando game where the point differential was such that if they beat Orlando by 37 points, they'd be playing the Boston Celtics in this game instead of the Atlanta Hawks. And they took their gas off their foot off the pedal. And they made sure that they played Atlanta. So now, if you're the Atlanta Hawks and you see that, they wanted us. Do you feel a certain type of way about that? Are you more motivated? I don't know. Absolutely,
especially when we're talking about the best stadium or arena to play in as a competitor. So if I'm Trae Young, and that's kind of like you called me out, honestly. It's like, you don't think, even though I've walked into the Garden, I've done my shiver, I've done my celebration, I've shut this place down before, and you still want me?
Right.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, the Broadway bow. Remember that when he did the Broadway bow in Game 6?
Yep. So absolutely, man. I think the Hawks are coming in here for blood. I think Trae Young is looking at this as like, all right, Jalen Brunson. Everyone's hyping this guy up, but let's not forget. Like, I'm the guy who sweats out my perm when I play. Like, I work hard when it comes to this. But, I mean, it's not just Jalen Brunson all by himself anymore. The big bodega, Cat, he looks like he's found his groove. Do you think that this guy, Mikal Bridges, is starting to find his role, and could he have another breakout performance tonight?
Yeah, he's been playing a lot better, and I think he's feeling a lot more comfortable in his role. He's playing better on both sides of the court, and that was important. Listen, it was a a very rough adjustment period in the very beginning. We're talking, I know people were saying it's only, 20 games or whatever. That's still a quarter of the season where he was really struggling to find his way. But, you've seen him the last few games kind of assert himself on both ends, be more efficient, be more aggressive, and then defensively playing with a little bit more edge, which the Knicks needed. I always thought that when the Knicks got Mikal Bridges, that if he embraced this role, this kind of third scorer role, that it would work out well for him and for the Knicks. And he's been doing that a lot more lately. And it's a rough adjustment. He was in Brooklyn. He was the number one guy. He's had the ball in his hands. It's a lot easier to get a rhythm and get confidence when you're able to dictate when you shoot, how you shoot, when you have the ball. Here it's a lot different. And, it was an adjustment period, but he seems to be a lot more comfortable lately. That doesn't mean, all of a sudden he turned a full corner and we should expect him to, be smooth sailing for the rest of the season. I still think there's some kinks to work out here.
We know all about we can talk about the storylines going into this game forever. We don't need to hype it anymore. Again, I like to say word is Bondy. What are we missing when it comes to this game? Talk to us. Give us your final thoughts heading into tonight.
Well, I mean, the whole NBA Cup thing is interesting because you could argue from a regular season standpoint, it might be advantageous for them to lose this game. Because if they lose this game, they get to go to Orlando instead of going to Vegas to play a red-hot Milwaukee team. And, the way the schedule works out is that if they go all the way to the finals in Las Vegas, they're then on the road. They go to Minnesota after that. They go to New Orleans. It becomes like a 10-day, 11-day road trip. Whereas if they lose this game and play a very diminished Orlando team instead, they get to go home. They get to spend, have a lot easier road. So the whole scheduling thing of the NBA Cup is really weird. I think people kind of just gloss over that. Last season, the Knicks, based on how they ended up in the NBA Cup, they had to play the Boston Celtics 5 times. They had to play the Milwaukee Bucks 5 times just because of the NBA Cup. So now you have a situation where it might be better for them to lose just from a scheduling purposes for the regular season. At the same time, the players don't want to lose because they have all this prize money coming if they get to the next round and they get to the finals, and they got $500,000 each if they win the whole thing. So there's a whole weird element going on there with the NBA Cup. I feel like the NBA still has to work out the scheduling aspect of it. That's just something that I personally noticed as I was running through the different, permutations and what can happen here.
That makes sense, though, and might be better to lose. You've been talking to Giants fans or something?
They're not tanking. They don't need a quarterback. They're fine. They're going to make the playoffs.
Hey, Steph, thanks for joining us, man. Have fun tonight.
All right, man. Appreciate it.